Thank you, Wen, for giving me the floor. Good afternoon, every one of you. I would first of all like to thank you for the opportunity you give me for this press briefing, and also to present my statement on the African Union Common Agro-Parks as a vehicle for Africa economic transformation during this 17th extraordinary summit on industrialization and also economic transformation. And I think that this this summit is really timely at a time where the globe are really facing a lot of challenges. Africa is a country of future, but an unexploited, because we are talking about industrialization. This is the subject. But are we industrialized on the continent? We are not. So I think this is a way whereby we can unlock the potential of this particular industrialization, because Africa has the land, we have a young population, the youngest population among all the regions, and we also have all the natural resources, whether in agriculture, for agricultural crops, or livestock, or fishery, or in minerals. So we have all these assets and all this potential. So we need to really speed up with our ambition so that we can solve the problem of our people. We are also talking of, the IFCFTA, which is our baby, which is our tool, which is the platform where we can trade amongst ourselves. So if you look at the decision of our head of state and government under the Malabo Declaration, the commitment number 5 tells us to triple the intra-African trade. So to us in our department, we know that 75% of the trading among Africans are agricultural products and agricultural services. This is the sector that really trade amongst ourselves. It is true that we are net importers. We are also, on the other hand, we are net importers. 35 countries in Africa import net foods every year in the value of $45 billion. We say we have the potential in one hand and we are not doing anything. That's why we came out with some partners among FARA, UNECA, and out of NEPAD. We came together to develop this initiative that we are calling African Union Agro-Park as a vehicle for economic transformation. We know it's very important for us to start really speeding up with this agro-park. Africa has to have its food sovereignty. Africa has to have a basket when we have shock. The reserve basket. We have to be bread basket, and we have to have reserves on the continent, because we saw the shock of COVID-19, the way we didn't know what to do in terms of importing rice, because when we wanted to import rice in our traditional market, we realized that the traditional market banned the export because they wanted to have their food reserves. So those are the lessons learned from the COVID-19. And in Africa, because of the measures, restriction measures of the COVID-19, also the supply chain in Africa was disrupted. So all this made us to really sit at the African Union. It made us to sit at the African Union continent in our department and call our ministers of agriculture to see what are the measures that we can take. And we agree that from now on, we have to really go towards we have to go towards food sovereignty on the continent. This is why we are really making a lot of input on this agro-park. I know that this is made in Africa. It is our initiative. We cannot go to our partners in the Western world to support us. They will not, because it's competitive. But we believe that we can do it. We believe we can do it if we are really decided, and we can see the commitment of our head of state coming for a summit on industrialization. So we believe that there is a commitment, there is a political commitment. Africa, our weakness, our gaps, we don't have a private sector, a strong private sector. the building, the really builder of our economy is the states, is the government, the politician. That is why we have to come all of us together, and through these vehicles, through this initiative, the common position, we can, start engaging the private sector, because this is not the government that is going to do it, because the world is liberalized. This is liberalization. We just want to make sure, first of all, we are food sufficient, we are food secure on the continent, and we also provide jobs for the young generation. Our population, 70% of our population are young, are the youth. So we want to, unlock the potential of this sector and come out with a proper agricultural business. We cannot look at agriculture as a poor sector, an offering sector. Agriculture is business. It's just a matter of coming with new models of agribusiness. All this, we know it. And today, the youth, they are really very, very, educated. They know digitalization. They know all this modern technology to go through with this. At the African Union, we initiated the Agro-Park. It was in 2019 that we started engaging with our private sector, stakeholders, all the stakeholders, including our ministers of agriculture, so that we can really come out with this initiative and be accepted. So we have the specialized technical committee that meets every 2 years. This is we have the expert segment, also the ministerial segment. So we presented the first initiative. We presented it in 2019 during our STC meeting. And the ministers were very happy with it, with the initiative, and they bought in the idea, and they told us to go further with a feasibility study to see what are the mechanisms of the operationalization of this instrument. So that's why we are on it. We are on it today. FARA has a secretariat to establish all these procedures or process, to follow up the process of operationalization of this. So we also presented, we came back in during the 4th STC last year, 2021, we came and they requested us to continue, looking for this. So the feature of this, because yesterday we had I think most of you attended the side event, the high level side event that we had yesterday, and the technician, the expert, our expert, were able to demonstrate how the CAP, we call it CAP, it's not CADEP. CADEP is the flagship program. How CAP is going to be operational, how is it going to work, all these steps of the CAP, where are we? And then we are lucky that we have also some financial institution like the Afrexim Bank, who is really working with us, they engage with us. We have a steering committee that we meet to start following up all the process of from now until the operationalization. So what we really want is to have, the five regions that we have. We want to have the 5 agro-industry zones in these regions according to the agroecologic advantages that they have. For instance, when you look at the northern region of Africa, they are good in horticulture and fruit. Of course, they have other commodities, but we want to select particular commodities and according to their ecologic advantages that they have, and in French they will say their terroir that they have to produce and be the hub for that region. So the northern region, we are thinking more on these vegetable. Of course, they have meat, milk, but just as a pilot project, we want to start on that with the northern Africa. The western Africa, we want to start with rice. There are other commodity like Burkina Faso is saying they want chicken, le poulet bicyclette, or Burkina. So there's a lot of anxiety for them to trade under the IFCFTA with these agro-parks that we are we are trying to institute. Then in Central Africa, we are talking about cassava. We want cassava to be Central Africa to be the hub of cassava. There are other products Because yesterday when I saw there is a progress in putting some other product according to the agro-ecological zone on these parts of Africa. And then the southern region of Africa, we want livestock, because when you look at South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, they are more pastoralists because of the ecology there than producing crop. So we want them to be the hub of livestock, milk, cheese, all this from the southern region. And then the eastern region, it's cereals. Because, they can produce wheat, maize, all these cereals, to be the hub. So those are the 5, ecological, agro-industry zone that we want to create under these common agro-parks, so that we can start working, trading under the IFCA zone. So I think that is what I can say. What are our partners? As I said, we have Hauda Nepad, we have UNECA, we have the Afrexim Bank, and we have FAO, and we have UNIDO and IFGRI. They are all working with us as the partners in order to to carry on the success of this. So as I conclude, I can say that if implemented very well, this initiative, the objective, it will promote the regional value chain, it will facilitate the economic integration and agro-industrial development. It will be a region that we are really talking about what we are here for industrialization in the agriculture sector, because each sector can make their own industry, like we have in the health, the pharmaceutical industry, but we are talking about how we are trying to organize ourselves to trade, under the agriculture and the agricultural services. When we are talking about agriculture, we are talking about the big agriculture. Yesterday, one of the ministers that was present was telling us that we have 38 countries who are coastal. Those people living in coastal, they don't depend on land, they depend on the sea, and we have fishery there. So that's another potential that we can include in these agro parks or industrial zone to come together, so that we can have a balanced, food nutrition for our country, for our countries, because this year, the theme of 2022 is building resilience in nutrition and food security. So it's a food system. So this is very important for us to start working, so that even when we finish the food, the theme of the year, we will continue putting an input and emphasis on this issue of food insecurity and malnutrition on our continent.